scenes of professional golf, you need to subscribe, because this is the story of how one man stood his ground when everything was on the line. The final event of the DP World Tour season, the DP World Tour Championship in Dubai, has always been a special place for Rory McIlroy. It's a tournament and a city that has witnessed some of the most iconic moments of his illustrious career. But this year, in 2025, the stakes were higher than ever before. Rory was on the cusp of achieving the legendary Dubai Double, winning both the DP World Tour Championship tournament and the season-long Race to Dubai title for an unprecedented fourth consecutive year. A victory here would mark his seventh Race to Dubai crown overall, bringing him just one shy of Colin Montgomery's all-time record of 8. This wasn't just about adding another trophy to his collection. It was about cementing his legacy as the undisputed king of European golf in his era. But standing in his way was a leaderboard packed with hungry challengers, including a formidable rival from the LIV Golf League, Tyrrell Hatton, and a young, fearless Dane named Rasmus Højgaard, both of whom were determined to play the role of spoiler. The tension had been building all week at the magnificent Jumeirah Golf Estates. After a solid but unspectacular start, Rory McIlroy found his form in the third round, carding a superb 4 under 68 to surge into a share of the lead. He struggled on the greens early but finished with a flurry of 3 birdies in his last 5 holes, a classic McIlroy charge that sent a clear message to the rest of the field. He was here to win. As he entered the final round on Sunday, he was tied at the top with Denmark's Rasmus Højgaard, a rising star known for his aggressive play and clutch putting. Just one shot behind them was a group that included the fiery and passionate Tyrrell Hatton, one of the most high-profile European players to have made the jump to LIV golf. The stage was set for a final day showdown that was more than just a golf tournament. It was a proxy war between the old guard and the new, between the established tour and its controversial rival. Every shot would be scrutinized, every decision analyzed, with the $10 million purse serving as a glittering symbol of what was at stake. The dynamic between the 3 main contenders couldn't have been more compelling. In one corner, you had Rory McIlroy, the PGA Tour loyalist who has become the de facto spokesperson for the traditional golf establishment in its battle against LIV. He has been vocal, passionate, and unwavering in his support for the tour, even at great personal and professional cost. A victory for him would be a victory for the entire PGA Tour ecosystem. In the other corner, you had Tyrrell Hatton, a player known for his raw emotion and his decision to join LIV Golf. A win for him would be a massive statement for the Breakaway League, proving that its players could still compete and win on the biggest stages against the world's best. And then there was the wild card, Rasmus Højgaard. The young Dane represented the future of European golf, a player with no allegiance in the political war, driven purely by the ambition to claim the biggest title of his career. This created a fascinating 3-way psychological battle. For Rory, it was about defending his throne. For Hatton, it was about validation. And for Højgaard, it was about a breakthrough. The final round began with an atmosphere of intense anticipation. The 3 leaders, playing in the final groups, traded blows from the very first hole. Højgaard came out of the gates firing, making 2 early birdies to take the outright lead, his youthful fearlessness on full display. Rory, the seasoned veteran, remained patient, sticking to his game plan and waiting for his opportunities. Hatton, meanwhile, was a powder keg of emotion, his frustration and determination visible with every shot. He mixed brilliant birdies with frustrating bogeys, keeping himself in the hunt, but struggling to find the consistency needed to pull ahead. As they made the turn to the back 9, the 3 players were separated by a single stroke. It was clear that this championship was going to come down to the wire, decided by a moment of brilliance or a costly mistake on the treacherous closing stretch of the earth course. The back 9 in Dubai is famous for its drama, and this year was no exception. Rory, Højgaard, and Hatton were locked in a mesmerizing battle. On the par 3 13th, Hatton hit a laser-like iron shot to within 3 feet, making the birdie to tie for the lead. The pressure was now firmly on Rory and Højgaard. Højgaard, however, showed his first sign of nerves, 3-putting the 14th for a costly bogey. Rory, sensing his moment, responded like the champion he is. On the same hole, he drained a 20-foot birdie putt, letting out a subdued fist pump. The 2-shot swing was massive. He had separated himself from the young Dane and now stood toe-to-toe with his LIV golf rival, Hatton. The narrative that everyone had been hoping for was now a reality, a head-to-head duel between the PGA Tour's biggest champion and one of LIV's most prominent stars. It all came down to the iconic par 5 18th hole, with its creek running down the entire length of the fairway. Rory and Hatton were tied for the lead. Højgaard was 1 shot back, needing an eagle to have any chance. The pressure was almost unbearable. Hatton, playing in the group ahead of Rory, hit a perfect drive, leaving himself in prime position to go for the green in 2. He then hit a magnificent fairway wood that landed on the front edge of the green, setting up a long but makeable eagle putt. The gauntlet had been thrown down. Rory, watching from the 18th tee, knew he needed a birdie, at the very least to force a playoff, and likely an eagle to win it outright. He pulled out his driver and unleashed a thunderous tee shot, a perfect, high draw that split the fairway, a shot of pure confidence under the most extreme pressure. He was in an even better position than Hatton. As Rory walked down the 18th fairway, the weight of the moment was etched on his face. This was for the Dubai double. This was for his 7th race to Dubai title. This was for the PGA Tour. He had just over 250 yards to the hole, the exact distance he loves. He pulled out his 3-wood, took one last look, and swung. The connection was pure. The ball soared through the desert sky, a majestic arrow heading straight for the flag. It landed softly on the green, rolling past the hole, and coming to rest just 15 feet away. An eagle putt to win the championship. The crowd erupted. It was a shot that defined his career, bold, aggressive, and perfectly executed when it mattered most. But the drama wasn't over. Ahead on the green, Hatton had his eagle putt to take the clubhouse lead. He gave it a good roll, but it slid by the edge of the cup. He tapped in for birdie, setting the target. The stage was now entirely Rory's. 2 putts for birdie to force a playoff. 1 putt for eagle, for history, for everything. As Rory stood over the 15-foot putt, a complete silence fell over the massive crowd. The world watched. He took his practice strokes, his focus absolute. He had been here before, but this time felt different. This was for more than just a title. He drew the putter back and made a smooth, confident stroke. The ball started on its line, rolling end over end, tracking perfectly towards the center of the cup. For a moment, it looked like it would drop, a storybook ending to a dramatic day. But at the last second, the ball lipped out, catching the right edge of the hole and spinning away. A collective groan echoed across the course. It was a brutal, heartbreaking miss. The championship was not his to win outright. He now faced a simple, yet psychologically agonizing 2-foot putt for birdie to force a playoff against Hatton. The man who had just hit 2 of the most brilliant shots of his life was now faced with a tap-in that suddenly felt like it was 20 feet. He took a moment to compose himself, stepped back up, and calmly knocked it in. A playoff it would be. The playoff, held on the 18th hole, was a tense and fitting conclusion to the battle. Both players hit solid drives, but Hatton, perhaps feeling the pressure, pushed his second shot slightly, finding the greenside bunker. Rory, learning from his previous attempt, played a more conservative second shot, laying up to a perfect wedge distance. Hatton's bunker shot was decent, but he was left with a tricky 10-foot putt for par. Rory, from the fairway, hit a sublime wedge shot that danced around the pin and settled just 4 feet away. The pressure was now entirely on Hatton. He needed to make his par putt and hope that Rory would miss. He stood over the ball, but his stroke was tentative. The putt never had a chance, sliding by the low side of the hole. The championship was now on Rory's putter. With 2 putts for the win, he only needed 1. He stepped up to his 4-foot birdie putt and, with the conviction of a true champion, rolled it right into the center of the cup. The crowd exploded. Rory McIlroy had done it. He had won the DP World Tour Championship and secured his 7th race to Dubai title. This victory was a microcosm of Rory's entire career, a roller coaster of breathtaking